The biggest lie Hollywood ever told you about in criminal court. What is the biggest misconception people have about how court actually works? Okay, so I would say the biggest lie that people are ever told about what happens in the courtroom is that the courtroom is where the truth comes out. It's not. Court is where admissible evidence comes out. And those are two really different things. People assume that if something really happened, the jury is going to immediately hear about it, like especially the backstory of what happened. And that is not true. The rules about what can come into evidence are very strict. There are rules against hearsay. There are rules about expert testimony. Not every person who's a doctor or an engineer or somebody that you think is qualified, not all of them can testify. There are constitutional rules about how evidence is collected. There's times when everyone in the courtroom knows that something happened, other than the jury. And everybody talks about it up at the bench, and the jury never gets to hear of it because the law just does not allow it. And there are times when evidence looks devastating at first, but turns out to be unreliable once you dig into how it's collected. So criminal trials are not just about facts. They're about the facts that can be legally presented. So if somebody says, I'll just tell the judge what really happened, what goes through my mind? We normally hear that in consultations after it didn't go well. And that's the wrong time to hear about it. But that is mostly when we hear this. And people imagine court is like Thanksgiving dinner and everyone sits around the table and tells their side of the story and the judge figures out who's telling the truth. That is not how it works. You don't even get to talk to the judge most of the time. Unless it's a very small county and a very small court, the judge is not going to hear what you have to say. They're legally not allowed to hear only your side. The other side, the prosecutors or the state, they have to be there. Otherwise, the judge is committing a law violation. So every question in a courtroom setting can be objected to. Every document has to be authenticated. Every witness has to follow rules. They don't let the witnesses stay in the courtroom to hear what the other witnesses say. There's a special rule where they have to wait outside the courtroom. And if you don't know all these, you could accidentally keep your own evidence from ever being considered. There's one reason lawyers spend hundreds of hours preparing for trial, that the trial may only last a couple of days. It's because there's so many rules that prevent you from effectively presenting your case if you don't know them. Have I ever seen a case completely change because of a single legal issue? Yeah, I mean, especially in criminal law, it's really important. People think cases are won because somebody makes a dramatic speech in court. That's not true. Real criminal cases often turn on a single small legal issue, one search of a car, one statement by the officer, a missing body camera video, witnesses whose testimony falls apart, or a single constitutional violation. One case we had was the officer turned his red and blue lights on before he had a real reason to come up to a vehicle that was just sitting in a cul-de-sac. And the person who called in that vehicle for being suspicious had no real reason other than that vehicle normally isn't there. Well, that's a violation. Had the officer not turned on his red and blue lights and just approached the car, then it's not a violation. And so the lights being on or off mattered a lot in that case. So what is the lesson for somebody facing criminal charges? I would say the lesson is simple. Don't assume your case is hopeless because of what happened. Don't assume your case is easy because you know you're innocent. The law is a complicated thing. Getting evidence admitted at trial or in court is complicated. The whole process is adversarial. The other side's job is to fight one side against the other. The outcome often depends on things that most people don't even know how to look for. That's why the smartest thing that somebody can do is understand the legal issues before you make a decision that can't be undone. And the only way to do that is to talk to a lawyer.